What's going on, everyone? And this is another community spotlight. The last one I did was like 6 months ago, but I want to continue to do these more now that I have enough uploads to justify working on larger projects. I want to do more of the community spotlights. And this allows, if this was like posted on Reddit, which it might be, I don't know. This would be stuff that people should be talking about. So, this is Alexia's statistical balance of town Traitor. So what, give me 1 second. They have done is they have a large sample size of town Traitor games from multiple different people. And they have the wins for it out of how many games and the win rates and for every single role. Not for every single role, but for a lot of roles. And so we're just going to look at that and see what they have reported on. And they have some general thoughts at the end, and I'll give my general thoughts. And I'm about ready to double check here. No clue, hold on. Discord. I don't see any links to add to the bottom, but if I do get a link, they're pretty good about getting back with me on things. So if I do get a link, that will be the first thing down in the description. Go check it out. You can also go look it up in the balance part of the Town of Salem 2 official Discord. So let's get into it. Boop. There we go. Scroll down nice and good. So, I'll just read it off. Kind of an auditorial. Deep out. Kind of an auditorial way of going through this information. So general faction data. Town wins about 51% of the time. That's 360 wins out of almost 700 games. Coven wins 48% of the time. 339 out of 699. The TT Hunt was won by Coven 22% of the time. 46 wins out of 208 games where the TT Hunt happened. I am, though, game-wise, going to Knight the Lookout. Town roll data. Corner won 50% of the time. Investigator won 51% of the time. Lookout won 51% of the time. Psychic won 52% of the time. Seer won 49% of the time. Sheriff won 50% of the time. Spy, won 45% of the time. Sheriff won 50% of the time. Tracker won 53% of the time. So, just with the TIs, very balanced. And the strongest is Tracker, which is a little interesting, but makes sense. Tracker is a very active TI. And then I bet you they say things down below that agree with what I'm about to say. And then Spy being the weakest, but even still, 5% off 50 is not bad. Bodyguard wins 47% of the time. Cleric wins 55% of the time, which is the highest so far. Crusader wins 51% of the time, which is kind of funny because, the big thing with TT was cruciciding. And a lot of people wanted Cruce banned from TT, but the fact that Cruce still wins half of the time is fair. The Trapper wins 46% of the time. Deputy wins 58% of the time, which is, fair. Deputy can shoot a Coven, confirm themselves, and then just sit there and be the right person. But I do have some thoughts on that we'll get to. Veteran wins 53% of the time. Vigilante wins 52% of the time. Retchery wins 54% of the time. Tavern Keeper wins 43% of the time, which is the lowest so far. Jailer wins 55% of the time. Mayor wins 53% of the time. Monarch wins 48% of the time. And Prosecutor wins 54% of the time. So, town-wise, the strongest is Deputy, which makes sense, even though the meta that I normally play with is Deputy goes out. Deputy, Mayor, Jailer, Prosecutor, Monarch. If you know those exist, those go out as soon as possible. So, interesting that that's how it is, but maybe I played with different people. The worst being Tavern Keeper is interesting, and that might just be it harms town more. I don't know. Also, I want to point out Crusader has a lot more games than everyone else, but still, 51% is good. Let's look at Coven. Coven Leader wins 52% of the time. Witch wins 44% of the time. We'll get up to that. Hexmaster wins 48% of the time. Conjure wins 52%. Ritualist wins 49%. Jinx wins 46%. Poisoner now wins 43%. That's the lowest so far. But as you can see, there's something lower. Wildling wins 47%. Voodoo Master wins 48%. Necromancer has the highest Coven percentage at 55%. Potion Master wins 49%. Medusa wins 38%. Enchanter wins 44%. And Illusionist wins 49%. So Medusa is now the lowest, sitting at 38%. And the highest Coven is Necromancer, sitting at 55%. Let's look at some TT rolls. TT Corner wins 30% of the time. Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's bad. Investigator's not much better, sitting at 32%. Lookout wins 51% of the time as TT. And now here's some not fun ones. Psychic and Seer win 27% of the time as TT. Ouch. Sheriff wins 50%. Psychic wins 52%. Tracker wins 47%. Bodyguard wins 39% of the time. Which is interesting. Cleric wins 60% of the time. That's the first 60 plus, and we have another one coming up. Crusader wins 55% of the time. Trapper wins 54% of the time. Deputy wins 62% of the time. Veteran wins 44% of the time. Vigilante wins 40% of the time. Retributionist wins 46% of the time. Tavern Keeper wins 39% of the time. Then Jailer wins 70%. Mayor wins 70%, which is also surprising. Monarch wins 55% of the time. And TT Prosecutor is the worst town traitor at 36% of the time. So here is Alexa's thoughts coming into understanding all this. TIs are generally solid, except Spy. Having one more TI in your team isn't amazing, but solid enough to do things. The quality of town depends a lot on what town protective and town power you get. BG Trapper being worse than Cleric Cruz, and Monarch actually being worse town power, and Jailer unsurprisingly being the best. TK are always being solid, but Vigi is the most swingy one, but you will rarely regret having Adept on your team. For Coven, Coven Leader is actually good, probably for the defense it brings. Hexmaster on an average performance, while Witch is somehow worse for Coven power. Coven killing rolls, however, are all good, besides Conjure being performing as good as the CL. Especially Conjure, not besides. Especially Conjure performing as good as CL. Other good performers are Necromancer, Ritualist, Potion Master, and Illusionist above the average Coven. Having a larger set of data allows us to see win rates for town traders, and it's awful. The quality of your Coven depends mostly on your quality of the TT. Having a TTTI or TTTS is not a death sentence, but you can't rely on it when it counts. However, having TT Town Protective TT Depth and TT Town Power, especially Mayor and Jailer, is always solid performers. About TT Town Protective, as an intuition a lot of TT players had already, but TT Cleric and TT Cruise might not actively contribute to Coven, but their defense provides and taken from town is super good to the Coven. So here's my thoughts. So first off, Alexia, they do a fantastic job of analyzing all this information really well. Again, you can always find this in the Discord. But let's look at some things to point out, at least from my time doing Town Traitor. And I don't do a lot to Town Traitor. I don't enjoy the role a lot. Or not the role, the game mode a lot. But let's talk about some of the things. So with TI, Spy being the weakest makes sense because it's the one that could potentially have the most information, and it's the one that could hide the most information coming from Coven. Everyone's saying that Spy is weak to begin with, and so it makes sense that it's the weakest. And it makes sense that Coroner Investigator, they would get left alone the most. Nothing too crazy about Town Protective. Nothing too crazy about the Town Killing or Town Power roles. Monarch having the least also makes sense because that would be the first thing you would push as a Town Traitor is, oh, there's a Monarch, we need to get rid of that. There we go. Coven. Witch being so low is interesting, and that might be just... It's easier to find Witch with, bigger chances? I don't know. That's a little... Witch being low is strange. Then Medusa being low is really strange. Granted... No, that's about the same sample size. Medusa being low is strange. A 38% win chance for Medusa is strange. TT rolls, though, and there's, of course, not a lot of games in this just because there's less data for that. Yes, Coroner, Investigator, those would be things that could not contribute to town, so you would want them gone. Lookout does contribute to town quite a bit, even as the Town Traitor, and so that makes it sense that it's about the same as a regular Lookout. Psychic and Seer. So, again, once the Coven are gone, Psychic and Seer are useless, so you want to get rid of those. The other three all can contribute, even... Yeah, so that makes sense that they're still half and half. There's other things to get out before Sheriff, Spy, or Tracker. Bodyguard being so low makes sense because, it dies more frequently. Cleric being really good, even Cruciate Trapper being really good, also allows them to stay alive longer and give defense not only to themselves, but give defense to Coven. The Town Killings all make sense. Veteran should be on the low side, and same with Vigi, because you would want those out. Retributionist and Tavern Keeper being low is a little interesting, but that just stalls out Town, so that makes sense why Tavern Keeper would want to get out. And then the things that are interesting for me, I mean, they're powerful roles to begin with, but the Town Powers, Jailer, Mayor, Monarch, Prosecutor, besides Pros. Those are roles that generally, like when I play, so like say a Mayor reveals, and now we're doing TT Hunt. Mayor's generally the first to go, then even like Jailer. So, I find that interesting, but let me know what you think below. Actually, don't let me know what you think below. Go to the Statistical Balance of Town Traitor under Balanced in the Town of Salem 2 official Discord and tell Alexa what you think. They did an awesome job compiling all this, crunching all the numbers. That's a lot of games. I mean, we're talking... I've not played 100 games of Town Traitor. I don't know if I've played 50 games of Town Traitor. And they've played, I mean, combined with some of these other people that they've added, I mean, we're talking with Cruz, we're talking almost 900 games. And we're averaging, you know, with every other role, we're averaging 300 to 150 in the Coven to a lot. So, go let them know, give it a thumbs up, and we will catch you for another community spotlight on something. There is a statistical balance of any that Mystic is working on that will be shown once she's done with it. So, that's all. We'll catch you again for another one.